relax or fall asleep too. In the background of this one, I will be putting some footage from my recent camping, and I hope that you find it very relaxing, satisfying, and sleepy. If this combination of sounds and visuals help you, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and like the video. That would help me a lot. And also, my YouTube channel is not monetized, so these videos are made possible by my lovely patrons on Whittler ASMR on patreon.com. So if you guys want to support me and have access to extra content, please check that out. I also have the full background footage of this video without any sound and whispering, and just pure stillness of nature uploaded over there. It's an hour long. We make fire, eat by the fire, and I actually take a nap by the end of it. Alright, right now let's lay back, relax, and maybe close your eyes, and do not worry about all the shadowy creatures all around you. I will scare them away. Let's get into the first story that caught my eye. This one is from r/dreams, and it is titled, I Met a Watcher in My Dream. Now I've heard other people talk about watchers and what they may be in dreams, but I'm not really sure. So let's read what they said about it. It says, I'm not quite sure where to post this. It teeters between folklore, mythology, spooky territory. So here's my question. Has anyone heard of a group called the Watchers? Not the Dark Watchers, but specifically the Watchers. They seem to be a council that interacts with the dream world. I was in the middle of one dream and then got pulled out of it somehow. The Watcher I encountered seemed surprised as well. Best I can describe it is like a Matrix ending of a simulation. He tried to put me in another dream, but I was aware of him being there, even though he was out of sight. Then a creature, definitely not a human, shrieked and pulled me out of sleep completely. Has anyone heard of them? From what I've read about the Dark Watchers, this doesn't seem like them. Well, I don't know about the Dark Watchers, but what you are describing sounds fascinating to me. I think since we don't know much about what exactly dreaming is and how exactly we do it and why we see and hear and experience the things that we do in our dreams, I think it's super fun to come up with different ideas and make up this world, because it takes up a lot of our time. About 1/3 of our day we are asleep, and for the most of it we might dream and we don't know what it is. Now can you imagine that there is this group of people or things they are beings trying to keep us away from what we could potentially achieve in our dreams. Isn't that fun to think about? I sure do think so. Especially since they said that, they heard a shriek and they were awake after they realized, without even seeing them, that they were being watched by something that is insanely creepy. What do you guys think about our dreams? But let's read another story out of the dream world, and this one into paranormal encounters. Now this one could just be a coincidence, but even coincidences, when they match so perfectly with every other thing in the story, they surely give us goosebumps and makes us question if there could be something behind them, or something causing them, something trying to send us a message. This other one, as I said, from subreddit Paranormal Encounters, is titled, "Last night I was sleeping at my house alone, with my phone on silent, plus do not disturb, and still it woke me up playing this creepy ASS song." Now there's a screenshot for us, and it surely is creepy. Let me download it. Let me describe it to you. It is a screenshot of a page of an app that is playing in the background. So it seems like that the original poster pushed the power button on their phone, and the hour shows 03:03 a.m. and the song that is playing, I don't know from which app, it's called Ghost in the Human. That is so creepy, and if that's not creepy enough, the poster for this song is this creepy grainy creature kinda looking at you, and you can see some hands. And on this creature there is one of those boxes that they usually send you on sites that check this to verify you are not a robot. There's one of those as the picture of the song, and it says verify you are human by completing the action below, and it says verify you are human. It is very creepy. I don't know if they are being truly honest, and they had no app playing, and the phone was on do not disturb, it was silent. If we believe that, it is truly creepy to wake up to a music being playing called Ghost in the Human at 3:03 a.m. That is truly horrifying. They wrote beneath the picture that I've never heard this song in my life. Every hair on my head stood up, and it took me a while to go back to sleep. What a spook. Agreed, this is truly creepy. But again, what does it mean even if it's done by some creatures? It is probably just to disturb us a little bit, to make us aware of their existence and just distract because, as I always say, they feed on distraction. And it kind of works, right? We get a little distracted, we get a little too excited about. What was that? Let me see, what did I drop down there? I have no idea. We forget about that. Let's read another story. Which one should I go for? Let's go for Glitch in the Matrix. This story is titled A Phone Appeared. This has been bothering me since it happened, and the few people I told just don't get it. Last week, I was out shopping with my mom at Marshall's. There were some things I wanted to look at on an end cap, but there was a lady looking at it, so I patiently waited for her to walk away. I picked up several journals, planners, and notepads, one at a time, looked them over, and sat them back down. This was probably less than a minute. I went to reach for another and noticed a phone sitting on top of a planner that I had just looked at. My mom was the only person nearby, so I was like, "Hey, is this your phone?" But she was walking away and didn't hear me. So I picked it up thinking it was hers, but immediately knew it wasn't. Silver reflective case on an iPhone, not hers. I just stood there like, how the F did this get right on top of what I just looked at? I started looking at the shelf over, thinking maybe I had set an identical item down in a different spot and the phone was already there. But it was the only one that looked like that. I debated on just leaving it there, but instead I found the lady who had been looking at that stuff before me. Asked her if it was hers. She said no. So I took it to the registers and told them I found it, and the lady checking out claimed it. There's no way she was right next to me, and set it down without me noticing and made it to the checkout so quickly. The whole thing felt really uneasy. I have no idea how that phone came up to exist on top of something I had just picked up and put down. Now that is another short and sweet story that might happen to any of us. Any day, and it usually does. But we often do not give too much of thought to it. So imagine you touch something, you put it down, you look for a second the other way, look back, and there's a phone that belongs to someone that is way far away from you. And the phone belongs to them. So they either threw it, or it just disappeared and appeared there. So in fact, this glitch is for that register woman, because it was her phone. She probably was sitting behind the register, like going to reach for her phone, and she realizes it's not there, and she's like, wait, what? Where did my phone go? And a few minutes later, a girl comes up with her phone must have been super creepy for her as well. What a weird world that we live in, and so many things that we don't know. And God knows how many of these stories is just our brains playing a trick on us, which I still find spooky and fascinating. Because we should know, but we don't. And we are trying to creep ourselves out just in case, and being ready for the unknown. Fascinating things. Alright, now let's read another story from subreddit Dreams. I've recently found myself looking at this subreddit more and more, just being fascinated by what people see when they close their eyes and how they interpret it. So this one is titled, I dreamed about a real academic theory that I had never heard of before. This felt so bizarre. So before I start reading this story, the title just reminded me of something that happened to me back in high school. I remember I was never studying, especially towards the end. Nope, I was not studying even one bit. Only at the finals to pass them. But this happened while the classes were going on, and I was falling asleep, and I knew in my head that I had this mathematics task that I needed done about something I don't even remember. But I remember that our teacher had told us to find out about this process and how you go about it in math, and report back to me. And I'm falling asleep thinking about that, and I don't even care to actually go look it up. But as I'm falling asleep, I see myself looking at a blog post. It wasn't even a website, it was like something.blogspot.com. It was just a random teacher's blog website, and I was looking at his name. Again, I don't even remember his name, but I saw that name, and that was all that I remembered when I woke up. I woke up remembering, for example, Mohsen Rezai. For example, I woke up thinking Mohsen Rezai. How do I know that name? Why am I remembering that name? And then I was like, maybe I didn't even remember the dream. I just remember that name. So I put that name, which was not a regular name, but I just said it is a very regular name. But the name that I had remembered from the dream wasn't. So the first thing that comes up, it is a blog from a teacher. And I go to the website, and yep, there it is, explaining this process in math that I was thinking about. And I had never had something so bizarre, I don't think, happen to me, that you just forget about. Like, this is the first time I remember it. In years, maybe. So that was crazy. And here we see that someone yesterday had this happen to them on the other side of the world. What a creepy world. So they wrote, last night I had a really intense dream. something called the theory of monstrosity. Interesting. I suddenly woke up in a panic in the middle of the night. Instinct told me I would forget everything by morning. So half asleep, I grabbed my phone and quickly typed theory of monstrosity into my notes and then passed out again. I was planning to write the full dream, but I could not keep my eyes open. This morning, out of curiosity, I googled the term, and apparently it is a real academic and literary concept. I have never studied sociology, philosophy, or literature. I am from a coding background and had genuinely never seen or heard this phrase before. Yet, in the dream, I was shouting it like it was the most important thing in the world. It honestly felt surreal. I really wish I had written the rest of the dream down when I woke up, because it felt significant and strangely intellectual. My brain sometimes does this thing where in dreams I speak fluent English or solve complicated things, but when I wake up, it is all gone. When you're speaking fluent here, but maybe they can't verbally. This was one of those moments. Has anyone else ever dreamed about a real concept or theory you did not know existed in real life? It is such a weird feeling, like my subconscious took a class without telling me. I just told you about my experience that your story reminded me of. Again, what a crazy world we live in, you guys, and we have, for the most part, no idea, no way to actually interpret it. I mean, what can you tell about this person's dream? What if they had a glimpse of themselves in another reality? That they didn't go into coding, maybe they went into study of humans, what's that called, sociology, and they had a lecture to do about this theory of monstrosity. Isn't that interesting? Because what else would they come up with it? But one more logical answer would be maybe they just heard this word, this phrase, somewhere without even taking notice of it while they were awake. They just randomly heard it either on a podcast or on TV, or someone said it just walking past by them. And they just had this word in their head. And in the dream, this word came up, and this whole dream was made surrounding it. But then they sounded like they know what they were talking about in their dream, so they must have known what it meant in the dream. But again, we have no clue. What do you guys think? I like the possibility of seeing ourselves in different possible futures in our dreams. Maybe I dream about what would have happened if I had, taken that path 5 years ago. And then I have a dream seeing myself right now in that place. You know what I mean? That is an amazing story. And I can't believe that it unlocked a creepy memory that I had. is real. And I also find it really funny how they said it felt like my subconscious had taken a lesson, had taken a class without telling me. Wouldn't that be awesome if we could fall asleep and lucid dream and put ourselves in a class about something that we find fascinating and we wake up with all of this knowledge? Well, that sounds like witchcraft. I don't know. If possible, it is easy to say that this all sounds crazy and unreal and just fake. But even if there is that 1%, even less than 1% chance that none of these people aren't lying, I sure know I'm not lying. So there is something beyond our understanding, beyond what we see and hear. But only God knows that what all of this implies, and it sometimes scares me to think about it too much. Alright, let's see if I have anything left from the stories that I had for us for tonight. Nope. I have read all of them that I had prepared for us tonight. That was a fun Reddit video, I think. I really enjoyed the stories that I read tonight. I found them mind-boggling, if true. And again, I know that these things are real, and I know that you, even if skeptical, even you are a little triggered. And this far into this video, I hope that you have fallen asleep. And if you are very lucid, in charge, and you can decide what to see and how to feel. Maybe take a class in the theory of monstrosity, or some math classes, I don't know. Do whatever